Hello everyone and welcome to our presentation on Becoming ColorWise, the last inch of data analytics. My name is Kate Strashny. I'm the founder of DATAcated and the author of ColorWise, a data storyteller's guide to the intentional use of color. I'm thrilled to be here with you today to talk to you about the importance of color in data visualization and how it can be used to effectively communicate data insights and trends. As a data storyteller and visualization designer, I've spent many years working with data and using color to bring data to life and make it more meaningful for my audience. I have seen firsthand the powerful impact that color can have on data and how it's perceived and understood. I am extremely passionate about helping others use color effectively in their own data visualization work. I'm excited to share my knowledge and experience with you today and to help you become more color-wise in your own data visualization projects. Data analytics is a complex field that involves collecting, cleaning, analyzing, and visualizing data in order to extract insights and inform decision-making. One important aspect of this process is the use of color in data visualization, which can have a significant impact on how the data is perceived and understood by viewers. We can refer to color as the last inch of data analytics because it's typically one of the final steps in the data visualization process after the data has been collected, cleaned, and analyzed. At this stage, the data analyst or visualization designer is responsible for choosing the appropriate visual encoding, such as color, to represent the data in a way that is accurate, clear, and visually appealing. A well-designed visualization that uses color effectively can make it easier for the viewer to understand and interpret the data, while a poorly designed visualization that does not use color effectively can obscure or even mislead the viewer. In this session, we'll explore how color can be used effectively to convey information, engage audiences, and tell stories through data. We'll discuss color theory and its role in data visualization. We'll talk about how color psychology can create impact and provide you with some strategies for choosing the right colors for your charts and graphics while remaining inclusive to various members of your audience. Additionally, we'll let you know how to avoid common pitfalls when it comes to using color in data visualizations and provide some helpful resources to guide you on your journey. I am extremely excited to dive into this topic with you. Let's get started. Let's begin with a question. What is color? In the context of data visualization, color is a visual encoding that is used to represent data or to highlight patterns and trends within the data. There are many different ways that you can actually use color in data visualization. Color can be used to represent different categories or groups in the data, making it easier to distinguish between them. You can use color to highlight specific data points or areas of interest, drawing attention to important patterns or trends. It can also be used to indicate the magnitude or intensity of a variable, such as using a heat map to show the density of data points in a certain area. Additionally, color can enhance the aesthetic appeal of a visualization, making it more engaging and visually pleasing to the viewer. Finally, color can evoke emotions and associations. By carefully selecting colors that are known to have certain psychological effects. For example, in the Western region, red is often associated with danger, excitement, and urgency, while blue is often associated with trust, calm, and tranquility. It's important to keep in mind that the meanings and associations of colors can vary greatly depending on culture, context, and individual perception. In data visualization, there are three main types of color scales that are commonly used: sequential, diverging, and categorical. The sequential color scale is used for data that has logical progression, like increasing or decreasing numbers. It uses one color and changes the intensity, lightness or darkness, to show the progression. For example, a graph showing the growth of a plant over time where the color gradually changes from pale green to deep green to represent the plant's growth. The diverging color scale is used for data that has both positive and negative values, as well as a neutral midpoint. It uses two opposite colors, for example, orange for negative values and blue for positive values, and changes the intensity to show the distance from the neutral midpoint. A great example of this would be a line graph of the stock market, where blue represents an upward trend in stock prices and orange represents a downward trend, with the neutral gray line used to indicate the overall trend. The categorical color scale is used for data that is split into different categories. It uses a different color for each category and makes it easy for people to distinguish between them. For example, showing a bar chart of student enrollments in different majors at a university, where each major is represented by a different color. It's important to choose the appropriate color scales for your data, as using the wrong color scales can make it difficult for viewers to understand the data. For example, using a sequential color scale to represent data that has no logical progression, such as the types of majors at a university, would not be very effective because the colors would not convey any meaning and it would likely be difficult to differentiate. Let's spend just a few quick minutes on the basic principles of color theory. The color wheel is a visual representation of the colors of the spectrum arranged in a circle. It's typically divided into primary, secondary, and tertiary colors. The primary colors are red, yellow, and blue, and they cannot be created by mixing other colors. The secondary colors, however, are orange, green, and purple, and they're created by mixing two primary colors. For example, mixing yellow and blue, which are primary colors, will create the color green, a secondary color. The tertiary colors are created by mixing a primary and secondary color, and they include colors such as yellow-green and blue-purple. We can further break down the color wheel into warm and cool colors. Warm colors such as red, orange, and yellow are often associated with emotions such as passion, excitement, and energy. Cool colors, on the other hand, such as blue, green, and purple, are often associated with emotions such as calm, serenity, and intelligence. In data visualization and design, warm colors are often used to draw attention and create a sense of excitement, while the cool colors are used to create a sense of calm and professionalism. We must keep in mind the various meanings associated with different colors, as they can greatly influence how data is perceived and understood. A quick note here that the meanings and associations of color can vary greatly across cultures, so it's important to consider cultural context when choosing colors for data visualization. We'll talk about that a bit more shortly. Now that we've touched on color theory, let's move on to color relationships. Color relationships refer to the way in which colors are used in relation to each other. Let's walk through a few examples of common relationships. Complementary colors. These are colors that sit opposite of each other on the color wheel, like blue and orange. They create a big contrast when used together and are often used to make something stand out. Analogous colors. Now, these are colors that are next to each other on the color wheel, like blue-green and green. They look good together and they create a calm feeling. It's often used to make things look peaceful. Monochromatic colors. These are colors that are different shades of the same color, like different types of blues. They make things look similar and create a consistent look, and are often used to make things look like they belong together. By understanding the basic principles of color relationships, you can use color more effectively in data visualizations to communicate data insights. The psychology of color in data visualization refers to the way that different colors can evoke different emotions and associations in the viewer, and which can influence how the data is perceived and understood. Different colors are associated with different emotions and meanings, and therefore, associations can vary depending on cultural and personal factors. For example, in the Western culture, red is often associated with danger, excitement, and passion, while blue is associated with calmness, trustworthiness, and intelligence. Now, continuing on with these examples, yellow is often associated with happiness and optimism, while green is often associated with nature and growth. It's important to consider the cultural and personal factors when using color. Different cultures and people may associate different meanings and emotions with colors. Knowing your audience can help you choose colors that align with their preferences and understanding. So, make sure you spend the time getting to know your audience. When creating data visualizations, it's crucial to consider the psychology of color to ensure that the wrong color choices are not made, which can obscure or even mislead the viewer. By considering the audience's needs and preferences and choosing colors appropriately, you can create visualizations that are more effective in communicating insights and trends. Let's explore an example of cultural associations and the color red. As mentioned earlier, in Western cultures, red is often associated with danger, excitement, and passion. A data visualization might use red to represent negative values or trends, to draw attention to important data points, or to convey a sense of urgency. However, in Eastern cultures, red is often associated with luck, prosperity, and happiness. A data visualization might use red to represent positive values or trends, or to highlight areas of success or growth. When you don't know your audience, it can be a good idea to use a limited palette of neutral colors such as black, white, gray, or even blue. These colors are generally considered to be safe choices, as they're not typically associated with many specific emotions or meanings, and they are less likely to be perceived as offensive or inappropriate. If you are not familiar with your audience, or you know that your audience will include many mixed cultures that may interpret colors differently, and you still want to use colors to highlight specific data points or trends, you might consider using muted or pastel versions of those colors, as they can be less intense and more universally appealing. Let's shift our conversation to accessibility and color vision deficiency, also known as color blindness. Now, color blindness is a condition where a person's ability to see certain colors is reduced or absent. This can make it more difficult for people with color blindness to understand and interpret data visualizations, as colors are often used to convey important information and to distinguish between different data points. So it's important to consider color blindness when creating data visualizations, as approximately 8% of men and 0.5% of women are colorblind. Let's discuss a few common cases of color blindness to clarify the impact that it has on being able to interpret data visualization. Protanopia, or red blind, is a type of color blindness where the person has difficulty seeing red colors. This means that they may have trouble distinguishing between different shades of red, as well as other colors that are close to red on that color spectrum, such as orange and yellow. Deuteranopia, or green blind, is another type of color blindness in which the person has difficulty seeing greens. This means that they may have trouble distinguishing between different shades of green, as well as other colors that are close to green on the color spectrum, such as yellow and brown. So, what can you do to solve this problem? To make sure your visualizations are accessible to viewers, there are several best practices that you can follow. Use colorblind-friendly palettes. There are several color palettes that have been designed specifically to be distinguishable for people with color blindness. These palettes often use colors that are more contrasting, such as orange and blue. Use the power of lightness and saturation. Lightness refers to the relative lightness or darkness of a color, while saturation refers to the intensity or purity of a color. Use lightness and saturation to differentiate between different data points or categories. For example, you might want to use lighter, more saturated colors to represent one data point, and darker, less saturated colors to represent another data point. This allows individuals with color blindness to distinguish between the different data points, even if they have difficulty distinguishing between certain colors. In addition to using color to encode data, you can also use other visual encodings such as position, size, and shape to convey data insights. This can help make your visualization more accessible to people with color blindness, as they can still understand the data even if they have difficulty distinguishing certain colors. Test your visualizations with color blindness simulations. There are several tools available that can simulate what your visualization would look like to someone with a particular type of color blindness. These simulations can help you identify potential issues and make necessary adjustments to make your visualization more accessible. We'll share some helpful online resources that are available to make this easier. By following these practices, you can ensure that your data visualization is accessible to all viewers. There are several factors to consider when choosing colors for your data visualization. Think about the audience for your visualization and what colors may be most effective for them. For example, if you're creating a visualization for a business audience, you might want to use more professional-looking colors such as blue and green. The colors you choose should be appropriate and respectful in the cultural context in which the visualization will be viewed. One way to ensure that your data visualization is effectively using color is to experiment with different color choices and test them with your intended audience. Consider the overall design of your visualization and how the colors you choose will fit into that design. Choose colors that will enhance the design and help convey the data insights effectively. The colors you choose should be easy to distinguish from one another, especially when the visualization is viewed on screen or from a distance. The colors you choose should be accessible to people with visual impairments or color blindness. This may involve avoiding certain color combinations or providing additional context, such as using patterns or labels in addition to color. When designing a data visualization for a company, you may wonder, when is it okay to use the company's brand colors? Well, brand colors are a big part of a company's image and can make a big impact on how people see and remember the company. In data visualization, brand colors can help connect the visualization to the company's overall image, While in some cases using brand colors can be beneficial, other times it might not be such a great idea. Avoid using brand colors if they do not align with the data that's being presented, if they're not suitable for the intended audience, or they do not enhance the aesthetic appeal of the visualization. There are some great resources available that can help you select the color scheme. For example, you can use tools like Color Brewer, where it lets you basically choose the right color schemes for maps and data visualization. It provides a variety of pre-designed color schemes that are colorblind friendly and easily distinguishable. It provides you 3 types of color schemes: sequential, diverging, and qualitative or categorical. You can also explore other tools like Adobe Color or the Canva color palette generator. There are several common pitfalls to be aware of when using color in data visualization. Let's discuss the following: using too many colors, not using color consistently, and not considering color blindness. Using too many colors in a single visualization can make it difficult for viewers to discern patterns and trends. It is generally best to limit the number of colors to a maximum of 5. Take a look at the example here that we have with the before and after images. We have 2 line graphs that depict 7 categorical items with various values displayed across 5 months. In the first image, labeled as before, we can see a sort of a rainbow spaghetti chart start to form. It makes it difficult for our readers to make sense of what they're looking at. Now, let's provide some focus on a specific category. For example, the pink line that is clearly visible in the after image. By coloring all of these other items gray, we were able to bring those items into the background as supporting details. This allows us to focus our audience's attention in a very effective manner. In our next pitfall, we'll talk about what happens when you don't use color consistently in data visualization. This can lead to confusion and misinterpretation of the data. It's important to use a consistent color scheme throughout the visualization and to clearly label each data category so that the viewer can easily understand the meaning of each color. Let's explore this example that compares the West region to the East region in 2 different charts. In the before example, you'll notice that the West is bluish and the East is orange in the pie chart. However, in the line graph, while the West region is colored with the same bluish color, the East region is colored pink. This can cause much confusion to your audience as they'd expect the colors to consistently represent the same categories. You'll notice on the right-hand side that the after chart shows the same graphs and uses colors consistently for the 2 categories in both charts. This makes it easier for our audience to follow along with the data story. As mentioned previously, approximately 8% of men and 0.5% of women are colorblind, meaning they have difficulty distinguishing certain colors. To make your visualization accessible to these viewers, it's important to use colors that are distinguishable for people with color blindness. Let's review the sample scatter plot that depicts advertising costs and revenue amounts across 3 marketing methods: radio, social media, and television. The colors are used to differentiate the marketing methods in the scatter plot, and they include red for radio, green for social media, and orange for television. To those that don't suffer from color vision deficiency, these colors appear to be distinct enough to stand out in the scatter plot. However, if we run the scatter plot through a color vision deficiency filter, you'll notice the colors start to look very similar. The 2 examples that you see on the right demonstrate how a person with green blindness and red blindness would view the scatter plot. Now let's discuss an improved approach. We can use dark gray for radio, light blue for social media, and keep the orange color for television. The visual here appears to look great for those with normal vision, and we can see that individuals with color blindness can also clearly differentiate between the 3 different colors in the scatter plot. Here's a checklist of best practices to follow when using color in data visualization and storytelling. Use the proper color scale. Categorical color scales are best used for data that is divided into distinct groups or categories, such as different types of fruit. Sequential color scales are best used for data that is ordered, such as temperatures. And diverging color scales are best used for data points that have midpoints, such as a target value. Use a limited number of colors. Stick to 3 to 5 colors max to avoid overwhelming your audience. By using a limited number of colors, you can focus on the most important data and make your message more clear. Use colors meaningfully and go beyond the default settings. Don't just use colors randomly. Select colors that are meaningful and have a specific purpose in your visualization. It's important to go beyond the default settings of the software or tool that you're using. Though the colors that are pre-selected in most data visualization software are generally not too bad, they're not created intentionally for your specific data visualization. So take the time to select colors that make sense for your project. Use color to highlight important information. You can use color to direct the viewer's attention to the most important data points, such as the extreme values or trends. Use color to direct the viewer's attention to the most important data points, such as the extreme values or trends. Make sure that there's a clear contrast between the colors that are used in your visualization. This will make it easy for your audience to see and understand the data. One way to ensure that there's sufficient contrast between colors in your visualization is to use a color scheme generator and select colors that have a significant difference in lightness and saturation. Be aware of the cultural and psychological associations of the colors that you're using and how it might be perceived by your audience. Lean on gray for supporting details and leverage white space. Gray and white can be used to make the important data stand out and to create a clean, uncluttered look. Make sure you use gray for minor or supporting details such as the axes and grid lines, and use enough white space to create a sense of balance. Consider color blindness and black and white printing. Keep in mind that color blindness is a real issue and not everyone will see your visualizations the way you intend. One way to ensure that your visualizations are accessible to those with color vision deficiencies is to test them using simulations of different types of color blindness. This can help you identify any issues and make adjustments to improve accessibility. It's also important to consider that not everyone will be viewing your visualizations on a screen. Some might print them out or view them in low light situations where the color might not be as vivid. So it's important to test your visualizations in both black and white and low light situations to make sure that they're still legible and understandable. There are several tools available online that can help you choose a color scheme in data visualization. There are color picker tools and colorblind filters that can provide assurance that your data visualization is accessible. A few of my favorites include Cobbl's Colorblind Simulator and Color Brewer. You can also check out my book, ColorWise, A Data Storyteller's Guide to the Intentional Use of Color, to get more actionable tips on using color effectively. As we come to the end of this discussion on the ways color can be used in data visualization, I hope you feel more aware of the power of color in communicating information effectively. Remember, the goal of data visualization is not to just present data, but also to captivate and influence your audience. As you continue to improve your skills in data visualization, keep in mind the importance of using color thoughtfully, meaningfully, and inclusively. By doing so, you can become a more impactful data storyteller.